Manchester City are guilty. They must be. Terry, you must have seen the news. My DMs, my messages, my TL have been filled for the past 24 hours with claims that people know for a fact that Manchester City are guilty of the 115 charges. The verdict must be coming soon. Look at the media briefs. Look what's being written. Look how they're being, in some people's regards, think they're being protected. Others think they're throwing them under the bus. But Terry, they must be guilty. They are the claims that people have made to me in the last 24 hours. And at first I thought, oh, I've missed the news. Let's go and take a look. And of course, people are referring to the big headlines in the last few days. The first, that Sky Sports warned their pundits not to make snap judgments in the Manchester City case, with the verdict on the 115 charges expected soon. There was another article that came out from Oliver Holt in the same newspaper that spoke about whoever wins when the verdict comes out regarding the 115 charges, it will be ultimately a worthless victory. The golden goose is nearly cooked, but essentially stating that nobody comes out as the winner, whether City are found innocent or guilty. So my first reaction was to read both of these articles, to digest them, to understand them fully, before even reacting online to this news about the email. But the way my DMs were lighting up, the way people were reaching out to me, I just expected this to be quite damning for Manchester City. But I've learned in this situation, when it comes to the 115, to never assume, but to read and to try and digest. Yes, I'll present the information as we can see it, and I'll ask for your opinions. I'll give an opinion from both sides often, to try and give as much light as possible to help people make their minds up. But you have to digest. Before we go any further, though, I do want to give a big shout out to Mark Goldbridge and myself. We've launched a brand new podcast called Hot Take. It's available now on our new platform, The Squad. You can scan the QR code or click on the link below to go and check it out now. There's also a QR code down the bottom of the screen, as you can see. But go and check it out now. I'd love to get your views and your opinions on that. But as stated, this was the start of the sort of online meltdown. Sky Sports warned pundits about snap judgment. And what I thought really interesting was people came to me and said, I think this means they're guilty, Terry. They want to make sure that no one in the media says the wrong thing in case they might be sued, in case there's appeals. But I think it means they're guilty. They're right that people in the media have to be careful about what they say, because the publication or the broadcaster can be sued. There's also going to be appeals, in my opinion, regardless of the outcome. Therefore, the media have to be, again, careful legally what they do and do not say. Let's say City are found guilty and they absolutely can, and Gary Neville rips into them as cheats. Then they win their appeal and the decision gets overturned. Gary Neville has got egg on his face. Vice versa. They may be found innocent, and Roy Keane goes in on the Premier League and slams them every which way, just for the Premier League to win the appeal, for the verdict to be changed, and for Roy Keane to look stupid. I don't think it personally gives an indication either way as to whether they're going to be found guilty or innocent. When I read the comments on the Twitter post regarding this, if you're skeptical, if you think City are going to get away with it, so you think they're guilty, but you believe they'll get away with it, it's people have met it with some element of defeat. If you're someone that believes they're going to be found guilty, people are kind of reacting to this as, oh, look, this is proof. This is proof. And if you're someone that believes they're innocent, you also believe, I think this proves we're innocent. A lot of City fans are saying, because the media has to be really careful how they talk about us. All three could be right. There is validity in each of those claims. There's no doubt about it. But the interesting point for me was this article here that basically says whoever wins will not really be the winner. There can't be a winner in this situation. It's an awful... it doesn't really matter who wins. Both City and the Premier League are still losers. And I read the article and I broke it down into like 4 or 5 categories. And look, I understand that everybody's frustrated with the volume of lawyers and the money being spent on legalities in the Premier League. There are fans that have become disillusioned with this. There are supporters out there that are at a point where they don't even care if they're guilty or innocent anymore. They just want it to be over. And I understand that. Of course, one of the biggest claims in the article is that damage to the competition and its integrity will be hurt either way. And that's one element I have to push back and reject. If City are guilty of the major allegations here and they're found guilty and they are punished and that punishment is seen through, I believe it has the opposite effect on the damage to the integrity. It shows that the Premier League will do what's right. Of course, you've got the question of what happens to the last 10, 11 years of Premier League and domestic football. Do they get trophies stripped? How does it even forget even trophies being stripped? How do you think you would feel about your club? Just think about who you support and what you have and haven't won, and how, like me, you have used City as this beacon of standards, the way they operate, the way they invest their owners, the ambition they have. That is the pinnacle. That is the optimum way you want to operate, the utopia. If it turns out that was built upon a house of cards and was fake, how does it make you feel about your club historically? Do they strip titles? Are they awarded to other people? Do we just write off 10 years of football and forget it ever happened? I almost feel like we can't start to have those conversations fully and honestly until the verdict is reached. Outside of that, the big point they made in this article was this illusion of victory. And they stated here that the final decision will likely be spun as a win on both sides, yet neither will have actually achieved anything meaningful. And again, I just disagree. That could be the case if City, you can't prove most of the charges, but you find them guilty of not cooperating. The Premier League will treat that as a win. City will treat it as a win. But you're left in this sort of fans will be left in this little space of, okay, well, they couldn't prove their innocence, but they couldn't prove their guilt. So they still could be guilty. But I think if City, as they've claimed, and this is where I think we've got to, as football fans, be honest about the City situation. City have said they have unequivocal, undeniable, universal evidence that they are innocent. When and if that comes out, of course, there won't be no illusion of victory. If City can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, as they have stated multiple times, that they have got unequivocal, undeniable evidence, how would it be a hollow victory for Man City? I would love to understand how it can be a hollow victory if they've got cast iron proof that they've never, ever, ever broken these rules, that everything is above board. They can't be a hollow victory. Equally, if the Premier League prove that City have cheated, City have financially doctored their accounts, they've broken all the rules in the system, and they're found to be fully and utterly guilty, how can that be a hollow victory? The only way it is, and we don't know whether this will be the case, is if it's left in a position of, well, we can't find in favor of the Premier League because there isn't enough proof. That's when I think that you'll get that kind of unambiguous, murky type decision. Most City fans won't care. They'll see it as, well, your job is to prove that we were guilty. You couldn't do it, so therefore we win. And legally, City would be right. But in terms of the sort of court of public opinion, that isn't going to solve anything. At the same time, I would look more at the Premier League in that circumstance. Why go this far? Why go this far down the line if you cannot prove your point? You can't leave it down to interpretation, because either way, even if they find in your favor, but there's still a massive amount of this is down to interpretation instead of proof. It's still going to be ambiguous. You're still going to have City fans that say, well, you didn't prove beyond reasonable doubt. How are we being punished? How are we being slandered? So look, there are elements of that article that were published that could be true, but I really think we have to wait for the findings before we react. And as I've stated, the majority of the time in this circumstance, if City prove without doubt they are innocent, I will back them. If City are proven to be guilty and they have cheated, I will condemn them. But when it comes to all of these articles coming out, all of these news stories and updates, there's very little new information. I would just say right now, no one. Absolutely. I heard a story about the QC, the main lawyer for Man City, that he was at an event in the last couple of days talking about lawyers getting involved with the the potential regulations within football. And they said he was in great spirits and he was talking freely and smiling and looked really happy. Someone said he didn't look like he just suffered a really big legal defeat. At the same time, the one thing in this article I would agree with, none of the lawyers on the Premier League side or City side are going to lose, because they have all made all of them have become even richer or become multi-millionaires, or bought new estates, never have to worry about finances ever again. And there's more down the line, as just mentioned. I think we're in this situation where people are sort of often putting 2 and 2 together and getting 37, whether it's positive for City or negative for them. So to the people that message and send me the articles, look, I appreciate it. And I'm always humble that you want to hear my opinion on these things. But nothing about the Sky Sports pundits being emailed, nothing about this article from Oliver Holt, for me, dictates whether they are guilty or innocent. I don't think these journalists have had any insight, any inside information. I don't believe Man City know right now. I don't believe the Premier League know right now which way this has gone. There'll only be a handful of people in the entire world, if a decision has been reached already, that will know. I think when the verdict comes out, that is when I think we should really start to judge this situation in its entirety. As ever, look, I really would appreciate your opinions on this. People jumping the gun, people panicking, people saying it proves they're innocent, people saying it proves they're guilty. I'd love to get your opinions on this in the comment section below. As I've already mentioned, go and check out The Squad now. Brand new podcast with Mark Goldbridge. You can scan the QR code or click on the link below. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace.